We have Jelitza from Caracas, Venezuela as well. Welcome. From Anzuategui too, from Anzuategui in Venezuela. Thank you very, very much for taking the time to be here on a Sunday. All right. So let's get us started. I want to, on behalf of Event TESOL, the Central American and Caribbean Basin TESOL affiliates, we would like to welcome you to the webinar using Flipgrid in the COVID-19 Flip Classroom. This webinar is going to be hosted, in this case, by Professor Josué Sánchez and Professor Octavio Vargas. And I'm going to read a little bit about them and about what this session is going to be about. The pandemic made us flip our classroom in many ways. Educators around the world are teaching online and doing a great job. But how can we flip our classrooms effectively? Flipgrid helps teachers to have a well-flipped education. Current context requires educators eager to learn and relearn in order to teach students over distance, crisis, and sickness. Flipping the classroom and the grid contributes to overcome this situation. Okay? Our presenters, we have Professor Josué Sánchez. He holds a master's degree in English teaching as a foreign language and a BA in primary education with emphasis in English teaching from UNED and a BA degree in school administration. And we also have Professor Octavio Vargas. He holds a master's degree in English teaching as a foreign language and a BA degree in teaching English as a foreign language as well. So without further ado, and well, before that, I want to confirm that every single webinar that we host, we issue certificates. In order for this certificate to be issued, we're going to be sharing a link that contains a form. And in that form, you need to include a key phrase, which I'm going to say only twice, beginning and at the end of the session. And that key phrase is potato salad or potato salad. That is the phrase that you need to include in the form, which I'm going to be sharing its link very soon, in order for you to get your certificates, okay, for attending and participating actively in this session. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to Professor Octavio Vargas.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope we're going to have a very good session today. And I'm going to let Josué to share the screen so we can start with the presentation. Okay. As our moderator was saying, yes, this pandemic, this COVID-19, it makes us flip our classroom. Okay, so this is a very good opportunity to continue with this process, okay? To continue with this advantage of flipping our classroom, okay? So we are going to see some technology, some strategies, and also the definition of what a flipped classroom is. And let's start by that, okay? What a flipped classroom is, okay? So we have here the traditional classroom. As you can see in this picture, there is a traditional classroom where there was a teacher who was the center of the classroom, and he was like some people say, the mighty God, the one who has all the knowledge and everything, right?
Oo nga pala. Nasaan yung all ticket? Sabi mo nakita mo sa bintana sa labas.
Tani t'japim atë dë aktivity.
Can you, okay. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay, so that is the flipped classroom, and this is the way we work on the flipped classroom. Okay, so how does it work? Well, it works like this. We have 3 times: before, during, and after. All right, so before the class, the student is going to receive material, is going to receive lectures, videos, links, whatever that the teacher consider it is good for prepare him for the class or her for the class, okay? And then when the student comes to the class, the student already has a background knowledge about what the class is going to be about. So the teacher can focus on the practice and the practice section of the class. They can work together, they can work in teams. The teacher will be like a guide next to them, helping them, okay? Not like the traditional classroom. It will be something completely different, all right? And then after the class, the students can check and assess their learning and also prepare for the next class. So in this case, it's a process. It's a process how to change my classroom from a traditional classroom into a flipped classroom. And remember, this is an important keyword, a process. It's not something that it can be done from one day to another very efficiently. It takes time for the students to get used to this new strategy, but it is very effective. It is very effective. It really is. So can we move to the next slide, please? Right here, it has like a better description of what a flipped classroom is if you compare it with the traditional method. Like, for example, if we realize the traditional method, that was the way we were working before the pandemic. Then the pandemic make us change, flipping our classroom, okay? The schools were closed, the high schools were closed, but the buildings were closed, not the education. Every house, every home turned into a small school, turns into a small high school. So this is the way flipped classroom works. Okay, like for example, we can see it here. Before the class, in the traditional method, the students do nothing. But in the flipped classroom, students do reading or watch lecture prior to the class. Okay, so they already working before the class. During the class, the students watch the lecture given by the professor. Very traditional. But if we do that in the flipped classroom, we can arrange activities, discussion, we can do quizzes, we can do many things where when we focus on centered students to consolidate their understanding. So it is much better. It is much better. It's like, for example, some classes were designed like presentation, practice, and production. That was like the traditional MEP model. But in flipped classroom, the section of presentation, the student do it at home with the materials that the teacher already designed, they already select and send to the students. Then after class, students in the traditional model, students consolidate their understanding. But after the class, students further consolidate understanding and prepare for the next class. So they do more. They really do more. Students have to work a little bit more, but the idea, it has to be work in a different method, in a different way, not the traditional. So it is different for them and it is more attractive. Can we pass by for the next slide? Let's analyze this other picture here. Let's look at the roles of the teacher and the roles of the learner. In the traditional learning, the input was given in the class, right? The input was given in the class. The students sometimes they don't feel very good, very comfortable during the class. And when they go home to consolidate their learning by an assessment or by a homework, that's sometimes where the questions come up, okay? So we can see here that it is very traditional, but not as good or as efficient it could be. But if we look at the flipped learning, we can see how the input the student is getting it in his home by videos, okay? That is one option. And then when he or she goes to school, then becomes the teamwork. Put it on practice, everything they get in the input, clarifying questions, clearing doubts, put it on practice what they learn, sharing their knowledge with the students, with their classmates. Okay, so there is a lot of teamwork that can be very productive. And also they're working in a very different way. So the emotional aspects are more developed during this moment. Why? Because they feel comfortable, they feel happy, they feel different. Okay, so even though you can see how they are more comfortable. Okay, can we move to the next slide? Thank you. Okay, some advantages for the flipped classroom. Okay, number one, it's efficient and reusable. Okay, so we can continue doing it and we can continue reusing the material, reusing the activities. And it's very efficient. Teacher is not now the center of the universe. Now is the student. All right. Cost-effective implementation. Okay, so it's easier to use. A lot of representation in content that we can use, we can advance and move. The most important 5 benefits that flipped classroom has. If we have more time, I can certainly tell you even though more benefits that the students have. Now, we already have put this on practice on my own school, with my own students. Very important. At the beginning, the process to move from the traditional method to the flipped method. Yeah, it was difficult, that process of the transition to move from. They have to watch videos at home, but it just take a little bit of time until they understand the situation and they move and they say, okay, this is the new way we want to work with. Okay, and after that, everything was great. It just, as I said at the beginning, there is a key word that it says transition. Yeah, there is that process of transition, like everything in life. Okay, like everything in life. And it was very good, and it was really, really good. Recommended. All right. I don't know if there is any question or any comment that we can work on this. There are a lot of this flipped classroom. It gives us the opportunity that we can open many tools, technology, applications, all right, that are very common right now, very usable right now, okay, that we can use to work on the flipped classroom. I don't know if there is any comment before we turn into this application.
There is one, Professor Octavio. Rafael Tovar asks, how has been your experience during the process of implementing this in general terms?
Oh, it has, thank you very much. Thank you. It has been great. I have to say that at the beginning, it was kind of difficult for my students to understand that they have extra work to do at home. But when they realized that it was not the traditional homework, it was something different. And when they realized that by the moment that they walk into the classroom, they already know what they were going to be learning during a lot of independence during the learning process. And in terms of evaluation, I have to say that when I applied it, it was a big difference between the results and the scores of the students. To do that, the students start, they become more active in other apps, like for example, the one that we are going to present in a few minutes, and also other apps more, okay? So when I put on practice this last year, and now with this moment, with this pandemic situation, the students work amazing because for them it was something that they were already used to. To what? To study at home more, to be more independent in their learning. Okay, so the fact that they were studying at home, doing guides, and doing many other aspects that the Ministry of Education of our country asked us to do, they were very good about it, and it was very, very easy for them. Okay, so I think it was a very good process. I don't know if there's any other comment or any other question.
Yeah, so far we haven't got any other questions, but I just want to remind our participants that you can leave them in the chat box, and whenever we have the time, we can let our speakers know about them so they can reply to them, right? Thank you very much.
My pleasure. And now we are going to present an app that will connect and work very well with this methodology, because the idea is not just to tell you the methodology. The idea is also to give you some tools to work on with this methodology. And for this, I have my partner, Josué, Professor Sánchez.
Hello everyone, how are you? We're very happy to be here with you all today. It's a pleasure to share with you this presentation. As Octavio was telling you about the flip learning, it's been a tool that we have been implementing since some years ago. And now that he has told you all the mechanics of the flip learning, now that we know how to use it and we know how it works, we know we need a tool. We need a tool or tools to work the flipped classroom. So for that tool, we have Flipgrid. I'm going to share the screen just to continue with the presentation so we can tell you about how a Flipgrid works. So this is Flipgrid. It's a tool from Microsoft. But what is it? Flipgrid is a social learning platform, right? That allow us to interact with students. We can interact with students or they can interact with each other. And it's something that is pretty good for them because it's an app that has many similarities with Facebook and with social media. And as we know, students love to work with Facebook, they love to work with Instagram, they love to work with TikTok. So it's something that is very similar for them because they use social media already. And Flipgrid is a kind of social media a platform, but with the educational process in. So that is something that is a pro for Flipgrid because it's a social learning platform that has all those features. Okay, and what it is good for. I mean, how can I use Flipgrid? Why should I use it in my Flip classroom or in any other classroom? Why? Because it facilitates conversation. Because as we know, they have to present videos, students have to make videos, they have to interact through videos, and so we can facilitate a conversation with them. So in that case, we're going to improve the oral practice of the language. And as we know, as English teachers, we know that practicing the language, it's hugely important right now. It was important in the past, is hugely important right now because of the pandemic. That interaction maybe is not as fluent as we want because of the situation, but Flipgrid help us to have a conversation and have oral practice through the platform. So it facilitates that process. Also, another feature that works with us is that students can communicate. They communicate synchronously and asynchronously. So it's a situation where they can do it live. I mean, they can do it live at the same time, or they can record the video and they upload it and they can see it later. So that's something that we can work because we can work in our classroom, or we can do it as homework, or we can do it as any strategy that we want to use. So that is something that is very important for us and very important for them because it doesn't depend on any situation about time. We can do it live, or we can do it as a recording. Okay, it also makes possible an exchange because when we are setting up the grid, when we place everything we want to work with the grid, we have the possibility to let people in outside of our organization. We can send a password to that person that we want to interact with the students, and they can get into the grid and they can communicate with the students. So for example, if we are teaching some kids, some students with Flipgrid, and we have a strategy in the grid, we can ask, I don't know, for example, a native speaker to interact with the students. So we can send a password to that native speaker, and he will be able to get into the grid and practice and interact with the students. So that's something that we can work in the grid, and that is something that is pretty good. Or we can also work with another school. So for example, if my school uses Flipgrid and we want to invite people from another school, we can do it as well. So we can have more interaction with more students, more interaction with more accents, more interaction with more pace of speaking. So that's something that's pretty good for the students because the main idea of the Flipgrid and of the Flip classroom is to make students be in contact with the language as much as possible. Okay, another feature that is pretty good in Flipgrid is that you can set a maximum duration time. So for example, when we are setting up the grid, we can set that the duration time of the video maybe could be 2 minutes, 1 minute and a half, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, up to 20 minutes. I guess that that depends on how you want to use it. That depends on the strategy. That depends on what we are working on. So that depends on you. But it's important to know that you can set the time. So you can set the maximum 1 minute and a half, maximum 2 minutes, 5 minutes. That depends on you. But the idea is to maximize the use of the grid, because if we are watching videos that they are too long, maybe depending on what we are doing, that's not going to be very pedagogical. So that's important to set the time. Another feature that we like is to promote the feeling of community and group in online teaching. That's very important today because right now we have the social distancing and we are not very close to each other as we used to be at the school. So promoting the feeling of community, even in a virtual world, that's very important for kids or for teenagers or for adults because the human contact, even in the virtual world, uh, something that we also can work on the field grid. Okay, now why using this field grid? Also develops students' ability to express themselves because if we are camera, we're going to express our feelings and we're going to express our opinion. And that's something the student developed when they use Flipgrid. Also, help the evaluation of an activity because in the Flipgrid, you can set and you can configure a rubric. So maybe we want to ask a student to develop a topic. So we can also create a rubric to evaluate that student. So this tool help us to do that. And that's something very important because we are not just listening to the students, we are also evaluating if we want. We want to, if we want to evaluate students, Hilbert help us to do it. And that's something also that is very remarkable in this tool. Also, we have the possibility of giving feedback. So for example, if we are listening to a student, we are watching the video, and we want to record a message giving feedback, that's also possible. So for example, if we are listening to a person and we think that they can improve in certain aspects, certain elements, so we can record a message, a personal message for them. It's private, it's quite specifically to this person, and we can give feedback for them. And that's also that is important in this case. Also increase your possibilities of analysis of the subject because Flipgrid help us to develop topics so we can share about any topic we want because the idea is to practice English. So maybe we can work about the pandemic. So maybe we can ask how they feel. Maybe we can develop a topic about history. So we can ask questions, we can increase the time and we can increase the interaction through the topic we are speaking about because we're going to listen to the students. So they're going to give us their opinions. They're going to give us their what they think about it, and we can enrich the conversation in many possible ways. So that's also very important in this case. Then students are empowered. Why empowered? Because we are giving them voice. We're giving them the opportunity to speak. We're giving them the opportunity to let out what they think. And I think that especially right now with this pandemic, that's something that is very important for them because sometimes we are in our houses, we are in our houses and we are like saving and not telling what we think. So if we give the power to express, that is something that is also psychological, maybe is good to do it. So a favorite also help us to do that, and that's something very important. Also, why the app? Why should I use the app? Because Philbert has the possibility of download an app on your cell phone, on your smartphone, or you can use it on on your browser. So if I decide to use it on my cell phone, it's important to know that let me go back. It's important to know that it is light. I mean, it's not, it doesn't consume very much of your hard drive. Is a very light app. Also, it's something that is very important to know because right now that we are using the smartphones very much, we need to save hard drives. We don't want our cell phones to be full of data. But Flipgrid is very light, and it can use a very less of your memory of your RAM in the cell phone. So it's important to know that the app is pretty light. It's not very big, so we can use it in every cell phone. And if you decided to use it in your browser, it's also you don't have to download a program. You don't have to download a software. You use it completely online. Okay. So right now, since we don't have the opportunity to show you how it works to have a demonstration, I, I I have a video here. It's only 2 minutes, so maybe you can watch it so you can have an idea how it works, and then maybe you can then in your houses in where you live, where you work, you can Google it and try to check it out by yourself. But right now, I want to show you a short video about how it works. Okay. This is especially for educators.
Welcome to Flipgrid. Flipgrid and families. In Flipgrid, educators post discussion prompts and learners respond with short videos. To get started, go to flipgrid.com and click Educator Sign Up to create a free Flipgrid account with Microsoft or Google. Once you sign links and videos to foster enriching inquiry. You can also set the maximum recording time and choose to moderate your topic, meaning video responses will be hidden from your community until you approve them. Your topic is private to your learning community. Add the email domain of your learners, that's everything after the @ symbol in their email, or create a student list for younger learners. Add a guest password if you want to invite families or experts into your discussion. When you're ready, share with your learning community. All they need is this unique code. They can enter the code on the free Flipgrid app or on any computer with a webcam via the Microsoft Edge or Google Chrome browser at flipgrid.com. You can also copy and share this Flipgrid join link wherever you connect with your community, including Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, and Remind. After clicking the unique link or entering the code, your learners will log in either with their Microsoft or Google account or the ID you created for them. Once in, they can see your prompt, access the text with a powerful immersive reader. And when they're ready, click record to add a video with a simple, fun, social media style Flipgrid camera. Share these steps with your community by sharing the Getting Started Students video. For more ideas on how you can use Flipgrid, check out this video series. Our learning opportunities are always growing and evolving, so be sure to subscribe for the latest and greatest.
Okay, so that's pretty much how a little bit of how Flipgrid works. So I don't know, Miguel, if you have any questions, any comments, I'll be glad to respond if I can.
Yes, well, we have some comments, and I think one of the questions has already been answered by you showing the video. We have a comment from Adriana. She says, I think some of my students were sort of expecting classes to stay exactly the same way as they were before we had to adapt to online classes. With time, they have realized that they can be more independent with their learning, but that requires more responsibility.
Yeah, for sure, yes. Because in the past, before the pandemic, we used to have a classroom where our students were sitting down. Maybe we can face to face be with them. Right now that we have the social distancing, it's very difficult to have that interaction and to have that a tool to interact only with the teacher but also with their peers, and that's something that is very important when we are teaching and when we are learning a language.
Yes, that is completely true. We also had some comments on, yeah, they were asking for a demo on how it works and how students can participate, but with the video, I think that's already clear enough. So once again, if you have any more questions, you can leave them in the chat box and we can answer them as soon as we can.
Okay.
Then how does this applications make the examination system reliable, sir?
Yes, I
Can you
think that
repeat? Can you repeat the question? It was kind of an
interference.
yeah, it was kind of an interference, and it was difficult for me to.
Am I audible to you, sir? Am I audible to you?
Can you please repeat? Yes, can you please repeat the question? I'm.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Okay. Exactly during this uncertain time, we are facing exam system taking virtually.
Can help during the evaluation. That
Nowadays,
is
the
your question, right?
examination systems online, it is
As Josué said, it was not a completely communication, but it really contributes a lot, this application, on that, and also in the fact of learning. That is one of the skills that we always try to work more on. And now that we are in this way of teaching, like a virtual online teaching, Flipgrid, it gives you the opportunity
Of course.
Of course.
Just let me go back here. Okay, we start with flipping with the grid. Now, how can we use grid in the flipped classroom? Okay, Octavio.
Thank you. Okay, now we are going to present some strategies or techniques that we can use. Okay, review of books, series of movies. All right, so we can even do put a video in the grid, because it's important to remember that every activity is called grid. So in every grid, we can include a video. Listen to the opinions of other classmates and tell them if they agree or disagree with that opinion, in order to create a link and a chain of different opinions. History chain, like I said, the student should pick up and where the last classmate who recorded a video let it off. Okay, so it's not an activity that it finished in one day, and this is one of the most important and benefits that it has. Okay, so I can listen to a comment that Miguel left yesterday, and also a comment that Josué left a lot of knowledge, and then we can have a face-to-face discussion by everything that the students learn during the week by the grid. Remember, the grid is every activity that you do in Flipgrid. They are called grids. Okay, they can recite poems or sing. All right, so even though we have some students that are very creative, we can work on this too. As we said during the whole presentation, it shows exercises or activities. All right, so we can design everything we got. So that is very good about Flipgrid. It gives you like a window open of many different strategies, activities. You can put on practice your creativity and your imagination as a teachers in order to create your own grids. Every grid, it will be one activity. And every grid, depends on the way you design it, it can be one lesson. Play cooperative games like chain words and riddles, okay? So there's a lot of more activities that you can do that. So as you can see, you can play games, okay? In order to make more attractive the lesson. Mini interviews, I mean, how good is this for second language teachers? Okay, because that's what we always try to get into our classroom. Communication, 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 communication. Okay, and with Flipgrid, we can put on practice with mini interviews. So there's not have to be only during the class. At home, they can continue practice the second language. It could be English, it could be any other language. They can be practicing any language at home.
Okay, also it's pretty important to say that, as I told you before, Flipgrid works on a smartphone or a computer. So it helps us to be everywhere. I mean, because you don't need a computer to be sitting down and do your video. You can download it on your smartphone, and you can do it wherever you are. Because we know that students, they love to take selfies and to make videos. So being in the smartphone help us to use that desire to make a video, but with educational purposes. But so that's something that is pretty good with this app. Also, in effective. Also, the integration. So Remind is that app, and also Flipgrid has integration with Remind, so we can integrate it as well. Also, it has integration with Google. So if we have a Google account, we can link Flipgrid with Google Classroom. And students or the students can play with that, or we can even have an activity for that, asking them to do some activity, some feature with the video, and that's also very helpful when we are teaching a language. Also, it's very versatile and easy to use interface. I mean, as I told you before, this Flipgrid is like a social networking site. So it's very similar to Facebook, it's very similar to Instagram, it's very similar to TikTok. So that features and that interface makes it very versatile and easy to use. So everyone can see it. You don't need a manual to read it before before using the app. You just download it and you start playing with that, and that's how you learn. And it's pretty easy. Everybody can do it. That's for sure. And also that the privacy is adjustable. I mean, for example, every grid we make, that Octavio said, grid is every activity we make in Flipgrid. Privacy is adjustable. If you want that everybody see it, you can do it public. Or if you want that just few minutes, few person can see it, you can set the privacy into private. So the people you selected can see it. So that's also very important because some students, they don't like to be in everyone's computer. So you can set the privacy only that the group that you're working on, they can see it. And that's something also that is pretty good to know. Also, it's very secure. I mean, it's pretty safe to use it because, as I told you before, Flipgrid is from Microsoft. It belongs to Microsoft. And we know that Microsoft is a huge company with huge security features. So don't worry, it's pretty secure, pretty safe to use it. I mean, as I told you before, privacy is adjustable. If you want to that everyone can see your grid, you can do it. If you want that only some people can see it, also you can do it. So that depends on you. But the platform by itself is pretty secure. There is no hacking problem. There no hackers going to come and steal your videos. That is not going to happen. Also, it's pretty light. It's pretty easy to install on your cell phone or use it on your browser. And as I told you, it's a social network. So that features help us to have a friendly interface and a friendly use of the app. And also it's free, something that is very important right now with the crisis. It's free. You don't have to pay anything to do it. You don't have to pay anything if you want to use it. Students, they don't have to pay anything. As teachers, they don't have to pay anything. It's just free. I have been using it for more than 2 years, and I have never paid a single dollar for using the app. Okay, so I think that's pretty much our presentation. I don't know if we have any more comments, any other question that we can help. Miguel?
Yes, we have a question from Rafael. Is asking if Flipgrid is mostly used for activities only or if live classes can be started there.
Yeah, I would say that it's more for activities because if videos only can last up of 20 minutes, I would say that making a class through Flipgrid is not very advisable. I mean, you can do it, you can have a class of 20 minutes and upload the video and that's it. But you can do it, but it wouldn't be that advisable for me because, I mean, Flipgrid is very useful if we use it for activities complementing the class. So I would say that it is advisable to do it just like that, just for activities, short activities, some games, history chains, singing if you want, a conversation, discussing a topic. But for live classes, I would say that we have another tool that work better for that.
Very good. We have another question from Carlos Daniel. Sometimes students get easily distracted with these activities. How can we manage a controlled practice and time management with these activities?
Okay, I would say that since the very beginning of setting up the grid, we can avoid that because we can set if the video duration can be 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, up to 20 minutes. So if we want just short videos where they just come to help us to edit the video. So we can ask him to edit the video. We can have clear instructions. I would say that is also very advisable. If we
I don't know if there is any other question, Miguel.
Yes, there is one over here from Nurhai. Um, and she mentions that you were talking about transition process. Some advice about how to face that transition process?
Well, first of all, very important question, Miguel, by the way. Thank you very much. And to be understandful, okay? To understand that there is a transition that for some students is easy, but not for all of them, okay? So they were supposed to watch a video before the next class, and there is one student who didn't. Well, he realized that when he get to the class, he doesn't know anything about it, and the rest of the class does. So what you have to do right there is like make the student to reflect that he has to be more responsible. Why? Because I mean, flipped classroom, it also not working only in the pedagogical way, but also works on values. Okay, so he will appreciate more the value of responsibility. Okay, and now for the next class, he will watch the video in order not to be lost. It happens to me. It happens to some of my students. And I have to be firm and tell them, okay, it was your responsibility to watch the video and you didn't. Okay, so please, for next class, you have to watch the video. And then they understand, even though you know how to talk with kids or to students or to teenagers, and make them understand that now they have a little bit more of responsibility on their learning process, all right? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Octavio and Josué, for your wonderful presentation today. Let me try to turn on my camera for a little bit. And also thank you everyone who attended this session. I know it was very fruitful for everyone to learn about the flipped classroom and also about the Flipgrid, which is a wonderful tool. And the most important thing that they mentioned is a free tool. So that's the highlights of it. Yeah, I would like to once again thank you to Professor Octavio and Professor Josué Sanchez for
thank you.
delivering this session.
Our pleasure.
Yes, thank you very much, and also thank you to the TESOL affiliate in Costa Rica for having team up for this webinar. And yes, I was mentioning at the beginning of this session that you will have to fill in a form in order to receive your certificate. I'm going to be posting that link right now. And remember that the key phrase that you need to use in order to receive the certificate is potato salad. I'm going to write it down here in the chat box. Okay. There you have the link where you can submit your information. And once again, remember that phrase, potato salad. So once again, thank you very much for your time, for our presenters for this wonderful session, and to all of you for attending once again on a Sunday, where which should be like a free day, but we as teachers we don't really have much free time. But the most important thing is that we're learning and we're doing things for our students. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And it's all about that. I mean, once you're a teacher, you never stop learning, and we always have to find ways to engage our students. And Flipgrid, I will tell you from a first-hand experience, is a great tool to engage students.
I have to say, Miguel, that thank you very much for the opportunity. And something that I want that I learned from this webinar is that yes, teachers we never learn, we never finish learning, but also teacher we always help each others. And this is what we're doing today. It doesn't matter where we are from. It doesn't matter where we are from. We are like a huge big team of professionals.
That is very true. And that's the most important thing. Helping each other, teachers helping teachers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Also, Miguel, something that I want to say is that we have to be very sure that being a teacher is a hugely important job, especially right now. So it's important to be updating our knowledge, is to share with each other, help us to be even more, I mean, to have even more opportunities to learn from each other.
Yes.
And also that I have always said is that being a teacher is like being some kind of superhero, right? Because we have a superpower that we have to do it with a great responsibility. So that's why I love my t-shirt, and I want to share with you my t-shirt that it says that something like this. The t-shirt. I'm a teacher, soy docente. What's your superpower?
That's
That's
brilliant.
a t-shirt I always wear too much, I guess. But I love because I think that teachers are like that. Teachers are superheroes, and our students aren't expecting too much from us. So we have to be in that continuous learning. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you very much for this webinar. I learned a lot, and that was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I mean, that message definitely at the end just sums it up. Okay, we really are superheroes somehow. We are super teachers, and we have to also believe in ourselves because we are doing something positive for our society. So let's keep on doing so. I know, and we all know that the conditions might not be the best. We're not the best paid occupation, and not even in Latin America or in other countries, but we are here because we want to do things from our heart. We do things with passion, okay, and that's the main thing. Helping all the teachers, improving education, helping our students to become better citizens as well.
That's right.
Awesome.
That's
So
right.
thank you very much. And once again, this session is recorded and is going to be uploaded onto our YouTube channel. And we will be sharing the link on our social media, and also we will send the link to all of you through email. Okay, so once again, thank you so much and have a wonderful day or night.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.